9:30 Pacific. I know there's still people coming on here. Hey, Bill, are you on?
Yes.
Okay, can you go ahead and start the recording if it's not recording?
Yes. Recording.
Okay. We are. Okay, thank you. All right, just one more second here. We'll give people just another second here. Clayton, you guys get any live? Do you have any live events for this year?
Yeah, we do. We're doing so the business I told you guys about that we acquired in December, Real Trends.
Right.
They've hosted an event for 15 years for real estate brokerage C-suite.
Right.
So it's called the Gathering of Eagles. I think it's also kind of nicknamed the Gathering of Egos, bringing out the whole C-suite from the brokerage industry. We're doing that in person in June, the end of June.
Where?
The Broadmoor in Colorado.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
All kinds of rules in play.
Yeah, I mean, it'll, like, we anticipate it'll change a lot in 2 months. But yeah, there's the Broadmoor is a very like outdoor friendly venue. So like, it's a good mix of like indoor, outdoor activities.
Yeah.
So like I think the county is still in like a yellow zone in Colorado, but it's the hotel has kind of had their processes. They have a verification system and are ranked pretty highly. So we're confident in it.
I got end of May, Orange County, LA, and then June, 2 events actually.
Who's doing
live
the
events?
Junes?
June is private, my one-on-one VIPs.
Okay.
And we're doing events for agents actually. We're doing them in a, very specific way, but they're booking them. They're in markets that are, Nashville and New Orleans that are ready to rock. Okay, everybody, 1232, weekly, excuse me, Tuesday, bigJOEL community call. Welcome everybody. Welcome people that are on every week and welcome new people. For those of you that are new to the call, up in the right-hand corner, probably what you're looking at, there is a chat. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Today, we are graced with Clayton Collins' presence from HousingWire, which is awesome. Always great to have him on. Clayton always comes prepared, or we'll call it fairly prepared, but prepared for sure. And a lot of times what he's talking about, he may have a link for you to have more information, and he's very good about putting that link in the chat. So if he's talking about something and he puts it in the chat, you want to go grab it, because once the call's over, you can't get it unless, of course, you just email HousingWire or go to the HousingWire website to get it. So housekeeping, upper right-hand corner, chat room. Again, let's get going. I've been trying to keep these calls to 30 minutes. Taking feedback from you all, keep them weekly and try to keep them short and to the point. So we haven't had Clayton on for a month, which is awesome. Clayton Collins, HousingWire, welcome, welcome, welcome. Always great to have you. Tell us what's happening. What do my people want to know?
Yeah, well, happy to take this conversation wherever people are interested. But a few updates. It's been a few weeks since I've been on. Last week, we saw some really interesting new employment data come out. So added over a million jobs in March, which is huge, because January and February were kind of lackluster and mediocre in employment gains. But these March numbers bring total unemployment down to 6%, which is a nice gain. But particularly for the housing industry, we saw some of the biggest gains we've seen since the pandemic began in construction. So nationwide, we added 110,000 construction jobs in March, apologies, which is a really positive sign considering the supply constraints that I'm confident most markets are dealing with right now. And we'll have some numbers on supply in a few minutes. But despite these massive gains of 110,000 new jobs in construction, we're still 182,000 construction jobs beneath where the industry was in February of 2020. So we expect to see those construction gains continue in the next 3 to 6 months, and really need to see those job gains in construction continue to help the builders make up for some of this supply gap that we have in the market. Of course, it's existing homes that drive a majority of the purchase business and inventory constraints, but it's new homes that help kind of grease the wheels and bringing some of those sellers to market and bringing a little more inventory to market each month. So it's a really positive to see these jobs gains, which are great for our industry, but also great for the overall economy. But they also are an early indicator that the economy is getting better, which could put upward pressure on rates over time.
Clayton, real quick,
Yep.
do they lump all construction jobs together? For example, somebody may be working on a commercial building. Are they in those numbers?
Yeah, so that 110 is all construction, but
Okay.
residential is broken out. So the residential construction jobs increased 3.9% from the pre-2020 recession peak of February 2020. So we are seeing the most gains coming in the residential component.
Interesting. Okay, good. Yeah, I was curious because obviously a lot of the commercial ground to a halt
Yep.
and is really still fairly ground to a halt, and it would be resident. I was just curious if that was broken out. Yes, so that is interesting, and you're right. Clayton, there's all kinds of stories. There's new construction stories, and there's also people that are doing things either in their house or doing things in their house to sell it, or doing things in their house blatantly just because they're going to stay there. And, you hear a lot from the agents about people taking their time and kind of trying to slow roll it based on material cost. It's not just finding people. The finding people is the crazy part. It's almost like getting a vaccine shot in certain areas. Oh my God, I found a painter. Where'd you get him? You don't let him go. I want him next, kind of thing, because they're all so backed up. For any type of contracting work. I mean, you name it, not just new construction. So that's good news, but you're right. We're still way short. We need a lot more people, huh?
And we often see the MBA update their forecast model shortly after employment numbers come out. There's a lot of drivers that go into the model, but employment numbers are one of the big ones. And one of the things that was kind of notably screaming at me in the last mortgage rates finance forecast update, which was produced in late March, was their projections on the 30-year fixed rate mortgage rate. So they were in March predicting the 30-year at 3.6 at the end of 2021, 4.5% by the end of 2022. I have the December update in front of me, and they were projecting 3.2 in 2021 and 3.6 by the end of 2022. So the MBA, with all this positive economic data, has revised their 30-year rate forecast for the end of next year up 90 basis points, which is a massive move and pretty notable.
So Clayton, are you still based on data? We were looking at this data in the fall. I got this from you guys. Are you still predicting, based on the amount of people that can refinance, that are eligible to refinance, that we will see that waning June, July, closing out in the third quarter, and really being a robust, mainly purchase normalized market in the fourth quarter? Are you still same predictions there?
I think that prediction is pulling forward, and even in like the MBA's and who's at First American's quotes on projections related to these recent job numbers. Both parties are saying the refi market's already taking a beating earlier than expected. So I think that those late 2020 projections of the refi market extending out to the beginning of Q3 is tightening back a little bit right now. I assume that's being seen in market.
I hope I hope everybody's listening. I've been ranting and raving and yelling and screaming. Clayton tries not to laugh at me. He laughs when he gets off the phone when I'm on a rant. But I've been making all kinds of noise about what this market's going to look like. And those of you that are closing 10 loans a month and 8 of them are refis, you're closing 2 purchases barely. You're going to be in a world of hurt on many different levels. Not just your pocketbook. You're going to be complaining your rates are too high because there's going to be a lot of pressure there in the market. People competing. Some of the big boys are going to drop their rates. They don't have to lay people off, so they can keep doing some refis, so they can keep some of their ops people. That's going to go on. The other thing is right now you might be doing a bunch of production, so you're big and bad, and maybe you're demanding more ops help. You're going to go from an LOA to sharing an LOA to no LOA real quick. You're not going to be liking that either. The good news is you got plenty of time to get your stuff together before the T-Rexes hit the market. And if you are not right now pounding on your relationships, deepening existing and developing new ones, shame on you. You will be in the used car lot in the last quarter of this year. You will be selling cars. You will not be doing mortgages, or your compensation will be drastically cut as companies realize that they're overpaying certain loan officers that aren't doing enough volume. I'm not trying to be Chicken Little, the sky is falling. I'm trying to sort of scare you straight to let you know that if you put your head down now and you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to be totally fine. If you don't, you'll either be working for one of these other loan officers or you'll literally be out. Clayton, I sort of suspected that. I just wanted to get your opinion that did get moved up a little bit. And Clayton, here's the one thing I'll tell you from the street. So with my one-on-one, my VIP loan officers that I'm extremely involved with their whole team. It's not uncommon for me to be involved with hiring support staff and bodies on the sales front, in the front of the house attached to the loan officer. And it is getting easier every week to find real quality talent for some of these guerrilla loan officers whose volume is not dropping, because some of these ops people are attached to loan officers that are 80% refi or 85% refi. They get paid per file and their checks are already cut in half. So I'm seeing that right now on the street.
Yeah. So Joel, put some numbers to the refi theme. This is an article we wrote back at the end of March after that, the last kind of rate bump that we saw. And I think it was the week of the 21st. Prior to that rate bump, there were 18 million borrowers who met broad-based underwriting criteria, and they could save at least 75 basis points on a refi. As of March 25th, that 18 million borrower number was cut significantly to 11.2. So lost 7 million refi eligible borrowers. And if you kind of tighten down even more there's currently only about 2 million candidates that could save over $400 a month, and 1.2 million borrowers that could save $700 a month. So if you look at that, there's only 2 million that could save 400. That means that the delta between that 7 million refi eligible candidates and the 2 million that could save 400, 5 million of those are only saving between $0 and $399 in a refi scenario, which is $399 is still great, but we're getting into a territory where the low hanging fruit is not as obvious.
And you're also, you're a retail originator on the street that gets paid retail originator comp. Very hard to compete with call center person making $28,000 a year base salary and $80 a file or whatever it is, because those rates are significantly lower than what a retail originator on the street has to offer. And so, I'm having these conversations all the time with loan officers where I'm like, dude, just forget it. Go to the next one. You're never getting that. I mean, you're never even going to get close. It's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. Your company's rates aren't high. Go get purchase business. Go do your job, because you're wasting time trying to price against that person you're pricing against. It's not even the same. It's apples and oranges. So those are stark numbers, Clayton. I mean, those numbers are way lower, which makes sense. Those of you that are newer to this game that haven't seen this happen, there's a period of time where the big lenders, to avoid layoffs, will sharpen their prices as sharp as they can, hi Jen, as sharp as they can, to do as many refis as they can through their call centers, so they don't have to lay off ops people. During that period, those of you loan officers that have been around for a long time, Ed Brem, who's old like me, okay, we've seen this. Jen is nodding. She has seen this as well. This is what I call the whining period. This is where loan officers spend half their day whining that their rates are too high and looking to move to another company with high rates as well. And you know, your rates aren't high. You're just competing against something completely unrealistic. And so those of us that have been around and been through these markets have seen this before, 92, 89, 92, 93. I mean, you could name them that have seen this. It's brutal. The only medicine is to be on the street with your agent partners doing purchase loans. That is how you keep sane and you don't worry about it and you keep rolling through. Go ahead, Clayton. I know you probably have a baby list.
Yeah, so I want to kind of transition that to, I mean, we talked about refi and the headaches, but we'll talk about purchase a little bit too. And I think anytime you're coming out of a period of severe disruption to a market, it's easy for the metrics to look negative because yes, we're going to have a rising rate environment because we saw a record low rate environment. Yes, employment numbers are, well, that's a positive. Employment numbers are getting better, but there's still a lot of people unemployed. But there's also some really positive stuff that we still have to look forward to in the coming years. And I think the most important number to latch onto before we talk about the record low inventory and home prices shooting through the roof are the best housing demographics ever recorded in U.S. history. So we continue to have the number of 26 to 32 year olds, which is the median age for the first time home buyer, hitting record levels through 2024. So despite like anything that happens in rates, anything that happens in home prices, anything that happens in inventory, the good news is there's a record number of buyers out there who will continue to search for homes despite what happens in pricing and other market dynamics, because they're at that pivotal age where they are forming households. And one thing that you can't bet against is demographics. It might change a little bit, but ultimately these 26 to 32 year olds, generation in, generation out, continue to show demand for home ownership. So it's a really positive dynamic for the housing industry in the next 3 years. And we'll see what comes after that. But that demand does create some headaches and new dynamics that we have to deal with, compounded by COVID. So housing inventory is at record lows. So those first-time home buyers coming into the market are dealing with new headaches that they did not anticipate. So overall, compared to this period time last year, total housing inventory is down 40%. That's compounded by fewer existing homes coming to market and fewer new construction homes coming to market as well, due to inventory costs and job losses during the pandemic. So that crazy low inventory is creating a dynamic that makes certain markets incredibly competitive. And I'm sure each of you has like just wild stories from your agent partners about how many people are showing up at open houses, how many people are submitting offers sight unseen, how many people are submitting offers $100,000 over ask.
Or blank, write it in. Yep. Or write in whatever will get me the house.
So that's happening. That's happening coast to coast right now. It's certainly more exaggerated in certain hot, warmer markets, but it is happening coast to coast. I feel like thinking of Jen down there in Florida. I imagine that you're seeing a lot of incredibly busy open houses and buyers asking for pre-calls way before they even go to those open houses, right?
You're muted, Jen.
Yeah.
The Sean Gaudreau, who's on here as well, sent me a picture, Clayton, about a month ago, and I thought it was a vaccine line. Literally, it was a Sunday. I thought he was sending me a picture of waiting in line to get a vaccine. He's like, no, dude, this is open house. I'm like, what? It was all the way down the street. And he just was at the back and just took kind of a picture, like down the line. And that's Boston, by the way. Jen, of course, is in Claremont. Jen, you're muted, by the way, if you're trying to talk on mute. Jen's in Florida, which is, hot. I mean, Tampa, she's close to Tampa. She's close enough to Tampa to be burned because Tampa is probably one of the just hottest markets, like Nashville. I mean, people are just going there in droves. They don't even have enough, Jen's in Claremont. Jen, are you experiencing the same thing, the same Florida influx?
Definitely. I wish they were getting pre-approval letters early, though. I'm getting them all where they're at the open house trying to write an offer. They just got in. There's 13 other people waiting for them to get in to see the house, and they need a prequel now on Sunday. I had them on Easter Sunday at 9 a.m.
So
why are we just getting pre-approved now?
This is interesting. So I want to throw this in here right now. Clayton, I'm sure you have more. Just give me 1 second. Now is the perfect time to help coach our agent partners to really partner with us. That is totally unacceptable. If there were agents on here right now, good agents, they would say the same thing as me. It is unacceptable. You don't call 5 minutes before you're writing an offer. You can never get someone. You can never look at their docs. You can never know what's up. And in this market, you want to be calling a week before. I mean, you want the most dialed in offer ever. And if your people are using a mortgage, man, they need to be docked. And, the challenge for a lot of you is your relationships aren't deep enough with your agent partners to sit down with them in a B2B and teach them that this is the way it has to go. I mean, I know personally Jen's relationships are extremely deep and she's still getting nailed like that. That's how bad it is.
Well, I think the agents feel like if they don't go show them this house and write the offer today, they're going to lose it and the clients are going to lose it. So they're calling on from their Zillow leads or from wherever, and they're racing out to show them the house, and then they're racing to put in an offer. They're showing up at the house with the contract ready to go, and they don't know anything about the buyers yet.
And then we're on the phone, and we got to tell the truth. Then Jen's got to tell the truth to the listing agent. Hey, honestly, I don't know anything, but I'll let you know. I mean, you want to take the offer, take the offer. I'll let you know if they can buy it. Give me a couple hours. Got to get their docs. Oh, by the way, the guy's a plumber, and he's self-employed, so I'm going to need more than a pay stub. Maybe yes, maybe no. I mean, I'm an agent. I mean, that is the definition of insanity. Who wants to show? I don't care if it's a hot Zillow lead. I don't care. Stop. Give me your docs. Call Jen now. We're not going to see anything until we know that you can at least buy it. Why are we going to spend all this time or let you get your hopes up? Ed Brem, who's got his camera on, Jen, you'll get a kick out of this. And Clayton, he sent me an email, forwarded me an email about a half hour ago from two of his clients. It went something like this. Hey, Ed, okay, I think we got a house. The offer's in, at 520, but we haven't seen it yet. So literally they bought it. They haven't been in it. They're like, wow, I think, what was the last line, Ed? Wow, this market's brutal or something like that. It was some kind of tongue in cheek. Yeah, we just had to buy it, even though we haven't seen it. That's in the middle of New Jersey somewhere. But Clayton, what I'm hearing from agents, by the way, and I was just on the phone with 60 of them on another call, on a training call with a big brokerage. Since the Easter Bunny's little ears have come out, I think we can expect to see a lot of listings come on. And as the listings come on, those wild contingencies of you can buy my house, but it ain't done until I find another one, which are the craziest contingencies ever, which means basically you don't have a deal. It's the most brutal kick out in the history of kickouts. Hopefully we can see those start to go away because, number one reason someone isn't selling their house is they got no place to go. And in some markets, they can't even rent. There's nothing they can even go rent while they're waiting. The old sell high and wait it out move. There's nothing to rent. So it is, Clayton, I don't know if you remember this. I know you do because you're smart and you remember everything. But, a year ago, we were talking about, we started 2020 in January, 3 million houses short. We were short 3 million houses for people that wanted them in January of 2020. I can only imagine how short we are now. That number probably doubled or something like that, right?
Yeah, no, I don't have the exact shortage number in front of me right now, but it is wild.
Yeah, and let me tell you something else. 26 to 32-year-olds. What an interesting buyer dynamic. For those of you that don't know how they think, a lot of those buyers think buying a house is like picking a TV. I mean, literally shopping for it and just buying it, and they find out the hard way. So there's a lot of hard work to be done with your partners in educating this younger set of buyers really how this works, that grew up on the internet and looking for everything on the internet. Any of you all that have seen my podcast, my First Time Buyer podcast with Josh Brown, I would recommend you watch it based on what Clayton just said. You literally go to my website, watch the Josh Brown podcast, who is right in that age, Clayton, and his story of how he went about buying his house and the mistakes that he made thinking he knew what he was doing. What a great way to connect with agents. Clayton, anything else interesting on the Clayton hot list?
On the same theme, low inventory, great demographics are driving up prices, which is certainly adding a little spice to the market. So medium home sales increased, home sales prices increased 17% year over year in the last 12 months. So our median home price nationally is $335,000. This is, and the asking prices compared to prior year also increased 14% to $353,000. So we're setting all-time highs on the average sale price and average asking price. I imagine that the next update of these numbers, the delta between ask and sale, is going to be even tighter as more homes are going for over ask. So at a national level, houses are still selling, or at least as of the last measure last month, we're still selling under ask, but that's certainly not the case in the markets that we're tracking.
It's funny. I wonder if Fannie and Freddie will bite when they adjust their loan amounts, or if they'll take a wait and see if it'll cool off, because that would be huge for everyone on this call, even though, and we're waiting, obviously we have to wait for that, but for them to really give us another bump up, what we can do conventionally.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, I mean, for better or for worse, we have to wait until November for that update. But I think we'll learn a lot between now and then, but it's putting pressure.
It's putting pressure on jumbo conduits all over the place, even if it's just some of the bigger players and it's their own clients that want to use that financing, because so many people are getting pushed into that where they're in jumbo. And as we know, that market is back, but not completely back yet, so that's creating more issues as well.
Yeah. And the last metric I'll share, Joel, is related to the speed that markets are selling. Or homes are selling. So 59% of homes that went under contract were in the initial 4-week period. And a majority of those are in the first 2 weeks on market. So we know in hot markets that's happening in the first 2 days, but at a national level, this is just kind of ridiculous to see 59% of new homes listed accepting an offer in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I would say, as someone that's been around for a little bit, it's ridiculous is a perfect world. It is completely ridiculous. It's a frenzy, and with the rates remaining low, it's just a fire that's just not going to get, it's just not going out anytime soon, because the buying power is there. People are looking at what their payments are going to be. Their payments are, just so low comparative, especially to rent, if you're those people, or if you're selling a house and buying a new one, what your new payment is versus what you're getting for that house. The house you're getting for it is just so attractive. And then, of course, Clayton, it's still out there. It's kind of like people that are hoarding toilet paper right now, because they are, it's still out there that people are like, oh, this is going to happen again. And when it does, I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be in my bigger house with 2 separate offices, one for me and one for my significant other. I'm going to have a Zoom area for my kids. I mean, people are literally thinking like that. I need my outpost, as employers are like, yeah, we're going to go back to the office, but it's never going to be the same. We're never going to be back there like 24/7. And then people are thinking, okay, I'm definitely going to have the ability to work from home. I cannot do this from my kitchen table. They look around. Okay, where am I going to go? All right, I need another house. I got to move. I mean, everything combined is just brutal. But Clayton, are you seeing at all anywhere materials starting to level off or drop a little bit? Cost of materials either to build or improve?
No, I've been tracking lumber really closely. Part HousingWire, part I've been investing in some public lumber equities, and
Me too, by the way. Me too. For
yeah,
6 months, I have. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
No, the analysts that I track are still forecast, like just saying uncertainty. And every time they think that like we've reached a high and we're going to see a big level down back, like so from 1,000 back to 600 or maybe one day 300, the market keeps edging higher. So the what's happened in lumber is the mills have served as a bottleneck, and they're pulling all the economics out of these higher prices. And the lumber mills have no incentive to increase capacity at this point, because they're making up for not meeting demand with higher prices. And so like there's really I don't see any change in lumber prices in the coming months. That's a dynamic that builders are going to have to deal with and price in. And for better or for worse, home price appreciation might be matching the increased input cost, and actually create not that single family residential housing is the only use of lumber, but in that one end market might actually be matching the pricing curve.
It's very interesting. You know what I thought of, Clayton? I thought of an overpaid loan officer who gets paid so much per loan. They're just like, I'll just do 3. You know, why do any more? It's like I'm doing 6. I mean, to think of the lumber mills, you know, why do any more? Why we can still stop at 5. We're making twice what we were making before. It doesn't really matter. Why not? You know, I'd be like, yeah, leave the mill on all night. Let's rock and roll. You know, because this is going to eventually end. But it's an interesting thought process, because I'm hearing a lot from loan officers and from agents on new construction and on improvements and all sorts of things that there is. You know, you're hearing stories about people building houses or whatever, and their house will be ready in 9 months. They're paying cash for the appliances they want now, and paying for storage to put them in storage so they can actually, when the house is ready, they can close, because the appliances are so back ordered. You know, I know we were talking about lumber, but I'm just talking appliances right now.
Yeah, and kind of pivoting off that, Joel, I want to address Sean's comment about the CFPB and foreclosures. There has been some CFPB news in the last couple of weeks, and it's been relatively aggressive messaging. And the most aggressive messaging has been focused at servicers, and with the line of thought that being unprepared for how they manage forbearance exits and foreclosures being unacceptable. So unprepared is unacceptable. And so I think any extensions right now to foreclosures and forbearance exits are actually, like, they're generous to the consumer, but actually a little bit generous to the servicers as well, because it's giving them more time to prepare for compliance. And the big risk areas for getting a CFPB letter right now for servicers is not evaluating income fairly. And so I have a feeling that CFPB, since they're watching that with servicing right now, will also be watching income calculations really closely on origination in the coming years, specifically with how public assistance, child support, alimony, and other non-W-2 sources of income are factored into to applications and servicer metrics. So it feels like we're kind of going into a more aggressive CFPB timeline, but right now their attention's focused on servicers.
Interesting. Okay, that's great. I'm looking at the clock. It's 1 o'clock. Clayton, anything else on your list?
All good.
You got the floor. Okay. Everyone, this is great. Clayton, by the way, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's a lot of like really, really good info. And I think everybody enjoys hearing from you and enjoys how things affect us. Like I've been saying now for a long time, I just want to say it again. By the way, refis, if you have any refinances that are floating, you're certifiably insane. They should be locked and closed completely. If you have refinances in your pipeline that are not scheduled to close, you're insane and your ops people hate you. Now is the time. People have been sufficiently scared with the rates popping up The tail should not be wagging the dog. You should be docking, locking, scheduling, and closing your refinances. Do not let them clog up your pipelines and make your ops people crazy. When you start putting in all these purchase loans, you cannot afford to ball drop. There will be a lot of hungry loan officers out there that would be glad to make the acquaintance of some of your agent partner relationships. So, don't go down over a stupid borrower with a stupid refinance that doesn't want to play ball. Tell them what you need. They give it to you. Then you lock them in. You shouldn't be hedging the market. You shouldn't be watching the market. It's not your job. Your job is just to tell them the rates that your company offers for the day. They want it, great. They don't, move on to the next one. Okay, there's no time for any of this for the people that are on this call. Okay, you should not have refinances sitting around. They need to get processed and closed, or get them out of your system. Regarding the purchase market, what have you done today? What have you done yesterday? What have you done in the last few days to deepen an existing relationship or develop a new one? Literally, what have you done? Okay, it better be a lot, or you're going to get left in the dust when this market officially turns. Many of you on this call have never seen what's about to go down. Okay, I mean, and when I'm talking about to go down is big. When people go from making X to making a third of X, they go out and try to make X again. And when they're very experienced loan officers, they're coming out, they're coming right behind you and sitting on your butt doing refinances, not really doing your job. Be careful, watch your flank, because these loan officers are going to be coming, and they're going to be coming to take market share. As margins compress, I think you're going to see a lot fewer loan officers doing a lot more business. You want to be one of them for sure. That way you can demand the ops help that you need, whatever you need from your company, and you're very desirable to your company, and you can get the support you need to continue to grow your business. So now is not the time to be messing around. Now is the time to dig in. These agents want to talk to you now more than ever. They're stressed. They're busy. As Jen, explained, they need a lot of coaching from us. I mean, I'm sure whoever that agent was that did that, on Sunday, I'm betting Jen has a B2B with that agent, and Jen will be having a nice conversation with that agent in a nice way on how Jen can serve her, help her better if she can be a little quicker on the gun, getting people over. And sometimes the agents just simply say, what do you think about it? They called me, wanted to see the house right away. Well, honestly, yes, you could, because you're showing someone a house that might not even be able to buy it. Why would you want to do that? Why not stop, take a minute, explain to the people how important it is. If they're not paying cash, the things that they need to do, you could have done that. When you say that to an agent, at lunch or at, when you're in more of a personal scenario, they will listen and they will get it, because most of these agents that are doing that at the last minute, that aren't lucky enough to work with a Jen Miklos, their people are not getting they're not getting the house, or they're getting the house and their loan's getting blown up and they're getting kicked out, and the seller is taking a backup offer. So everyone, check the chat. Clayton put some stuff in there for sure. As usual, thank you so much for spending some time with me. We'll be back next week. Clayton will be back in a month. We'll be back next week with another loan officer interview and some more ranting and raving from me. Everybody be safe out there. The market is incredible. What a great time to be a loan officer. People are getting vaccinated. It's warming up. People are coming outside. There's euphoria. For us, it's been euphoric since the pandemic began, because we're all in the housing sector, but I think it's going to go to an even higher level. Everyone have an awesome week. Talk to you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.